Karabo, thank you very much for taking your time to talk to us a little bit about your experience with eSTUDY. I honestly do appreciate it. And I think the first question I just want to check in with you is, what was the pain points at the time of making the decision to work with eSTUDY or even look for a service provider?
One was we had quite a, in my opinion, for a business that with our turnover, we had a lucrative training budget. However, the quality of the interventions, one, was not outcomes based. The quality of the provider is not accredited. Three, the workplace skills plan was something that was not necessarily needs based. It was a wish list. Last but not least, the skills development facilitator space was, in my opinion, run in a very sloppy way. It was not run the way, as far as I'm concerned, that SAQA intended it. And I could see that we lacked internally the capabilities and the skills to be able to, one, for the learner to give an experience that that would give them an accreditation that is recognized, and then two, for the organization to get the right return on investment. And then last but not least, something that I really, really value in this country is, again, the Skills Development Act and all associated legislation, which I believe is absolutely critical to drive development and growth in our economy. So all of those pain points, as a proud HR practitioner, I remember years ago, the CEO of, I think it was the services seat or whatever, it was a guy by the name of Ivor Blumenthal. And I remember him saying, and it was like 98, I think that the Skills Development Act is 96, 98, 99, and him saying, if this entire framework fails, it's an indictment on every single HR practitioner. And I was failing, and I'm not, I couldn't, with clear conscience, call myself an HR practitioner when I know that I'm not actually doing the basics.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And I think, knowing the stresses that you've experienced prior to partnering with eSTUDY, I think it was a bit of a challenge at that point in time. And I believe that eSTUDY assisted you in changing that situation. Can you explain to us a little bit about what did we actually do for you?
Yeah, we from the onset, we understood, or what eSTUDY actually did was instantly say, okay, what do you currently have? What is the information that you have? So we looked at the previous training budget, we looked at what was in the WSP, the ATR, and analysis was properly done of where did you spend money on what. We then understood the gaps, and then we started putting together, and I remember, I think it was, we had probably a 2 to 3 year plan with different deliverables. That's on the learning and development side of things, but then we went one step further, which was never the intent actually for me, but it was cool to see. Then we looked at, and you're the expert because you were involved, is it a learning management system? Not a learner management, it's a learning, right? LMS system on you guys' side. And then last but not least, we integrated with the talent management framework. We're probably in year 3 of our relationship, where again, the maturity level in the people development space, the entire talent management framework is getting more and more integrated. And the value that we're delivering to the organization and to McCain employees is growing day by day.
Awesome, man. And out of the 3 years that we've been working together, what would you say was the one wow moment that you just went, these guys know what they're doing?
There's been too many, but okay. Number one is, I think the first time when we looked at the skills development space, it wasn't anything phenomenal. But when we started looking at the entire integrated talent management process and how we were going to build that up from literally a building block of a job description, leading to a skills matrix, leading to personalized training programs, integrating that to the repertoire of multiple courses that you've got online, then bringing in, which is an outsourcer from you guys, we brought in a skills development facilitator that was able to make sure that those things were executed daily. The minute that happened, I think you would recall, I probably stood up and I don't even think when I wrote the shareholders of the analyst and eSTUDY, when I wrote you guys an email to thank you, I don't think I did that email justice. I was very careful not to get carried away. But when those things started coming together, because they didn't just coincidentally come together, the blueprint was put in place the day we started talking. And when you started seeing it, and I'm seeing every single day, I'm just seeing traction, I'm seeing execution against. So when all of that came together for me, it was like the biggest wow moment.
No, that's great. And we've got some other potential clients or prospects that will be watching this video. So if there's one thing that you could say to them, or sort of advise them to work with eSTUDY, what would that be?
Integrated talent management. And by integrated talent management, I repeat again, it was never my intent when I approached eSTUDY to get into the talent management space. My pain as I started was just putting together an ATR and WSP. eSTUDY went further and said, but do not throw good money after bad. Is this going to give you a competitive advantage? In the sense that there is training that you're going to need to do that is good for your BBB scorecard. Tick. And I remember they said, okay, you're going to need to spend this much to get this number of points. However, competitive advantage in the talent management space, in other words, what capabilities are you building against what particular positions that would get your organization to perform better? That was a space that was interesting for me. And what I would encourage any organization that comes is, don't look at skills development from a compliance perspective. Look at learning and development, the whole talent management space, for two reasons. Indeed, competitive advantage, but the second one, be a good corporate citizen. 74% unemployment rate. They come out of, and by they, I'm talking youth, they exit an already broken educational system. We as corporates can equip them to become grown-up adults that can actually add value in the economy and get a sense of ownership and belonging and a sense of growth as individuals in their life. You can alleviate poverty, you can uplift people, you can reduce unemployment by partnering with the right partners like eSTUDY to ensure that you deliver the right types of learning interventions, you do the right career pathing to actually ensure that this country moves forward. That's my view. I do feel a sense, Gerard, and I talk to some of our colleagues and my colleagues, because again, for me, eSTUDY, I don't know where eSTUDY begins and ends and where McCain begins and ends, because we become strategic partners. So I call your partners and directors and employees, I see them as strategic partners, and I always say to them, we must feel a sense of responsibility in terms of what we do to uplift those that are less fortunate than us. And we have the space, and this partnership allows me to feel that I can fulfill that purpose.
That is so true, Karabo. It's really something that is pressing in our country, and we as corporate individuals have to lead the pack and make sure that we make that change in our country. We can't just sit back and wait for the best things to come and those that are being promised. It's absolutely true what you're saying. We have to take ownership and make it our own.
100%.
Good. I think my final question to you, do you believe that, and we haven't done an actual measurement yet, but do you believe that just in terms of a sense that you are getting a good value for money, proper return on investment that you're spending with eSTUDY?
Yeah, that's a sorry. There's a reason. So every year we've renewed the SLA with eSTUDY, And this year again, when I looked at the SLA vis-a-vis what we've delivered, both financially in terms of whether you're talking about grants, it's a no-brainer. What my skills development facilitator from eSTUDY gets for me pays for her, for what I pay eSTUDY, pays like 10 times. That's just monetary. This year we've had I think in terms of unemployed artisans, learners, we've had 100% pass rate.
Wow.
These are, 100%. It's never been done. We've always had people that fail and so forth. We are in the process with my skills development facilitator, and these are initiatives she's taken. I didn't go and say, do this. Where, again, driven by a sense of purpose between myself and her, we looked at AET, or previously adult basic education and training, and we understood the numbers that we've been pulling previously, understanding that literacy is an issue in this country. We've changed providers. We're coming at that one very seriously with a lot of energy. The impact, both financially and otherwise, is immeasurable. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, absolutely. On a day-to-day basis, there's a massive return on investment to our business and all our employees based on this partnership alone.
That's great. That's great. I'm really happy to hear that. Karabo, any final comments from your side that you would like to share?
If there's one thing I will say to any HR practitioner or any business that sees itself as a proudly South African business, I would then say, if you are not happy with your people development agenda and you don't know where to turn, I would encourage them to at least have a conversation with people like yourselves. Because again, I repeat, I was not sleeping at night because I felt that I had failed in terms of my basic fundamental purpose as a people leader and a practitioner in the people field. If you're not developing people who do not have opportunities, and those that are in or out of the workplace, then go and do some introspection, have a conversation with people like yourself. I'm also see myself as an activist in this space. I'm happy to talk to anybody. Because if, to your point earlier, Gerard, if we do not do something, who then is meant to do something to uplift these people? It's not about politicians, it's about a sense of purpose. So get a sense of purpose, find the right partnerships, and let's do our bit to make sure that those less fortunate than ourselves get a chance to actually move up in this world. And that's really, those are my final words.